Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we're going to paint this cafe scene, or pub scene actually. I was sitting outside at a pub with a friend and we were painting, and I took this photo of my sunglasses and pen and drink just sitting there, and I thought that I think would make a really nice project, a really nice painting to do back in the studio. And if you'd like a real-time version of this tutorial, you can find it up now in Critique Club. It's about an hour and a half long, and we go through step by step the sketching and the painting of this. And there's also a line artwork that you can download if you just want to start off with my drawing, if you're not comfortable drawing it yourself. And of course the reference photo is in there. So if you'd like to check that out, it's $5 a month, and you have access to over 100 mixed media tutorials, monthly prompts, and the ability to upload your artwork for feedback from me. So link is in the video description if you're interested. Now I'm sketching with a blue color erase pencil, and I get a lot of questions about erasable colored pencils, and I basically just use them for sketching, and I love them for that. They're not great for coloring in an image because they're not very pigmented, but they're wonderful for doing a sketch and then working over that sketch with watercolors, gouache, or alcohol markers, or even water-based markers. The reason for this is if you do make a mistake, you can erase it. Also, I think having a toned line versus just like a graphite gray line is a little bit softer to look at. It also can kind of break you out of a funk if you're kind of in an art rut, and I just really, really enjoy it. You can use a color that's similar to what you're going to be painting, or you could use a contrasting color. In fact, I used blue because I thought that would be a really nice pop next to all the orange I have going on in this scene. But of course, you could even change it up so that you would be sketching the cup in yellow and the glasses in gray, and just totally match your color to it if you want. But I do like a little bit of an outline. But it's not waxy enough that it resists my paint, which I like, and it's not waxy enough that my alcohol markers will reactivate it and pick it up. So it's just a really nice product. Now, the ones I'm using here are Col Erase, but I know Crayola makes an erasable version, and Artex makes an erasable version, so I don't think it really matters that much. I don't notice a huge quality difference between the different ones I've tried, and if you get a pack of them, they're probably going to last you for decades because you're not coloring in with them, so they're going to be worn down very slowly. They also tend to have a harder lead, so they don't need to be sharpened too often. So I really recommend them. I have the set of 24 Col Erase, and now I think you can just get the Col Erase in the packs. They used to sell open stock, but they no longer do. Prismacolor discontinued most of their open stock products except for the soft pencils. But anyways, yeah, I like them. I think they're very useful, and I use them all the time. I'm using some new to me watercolors. They are actually a brand new release from the company Altenew. I don't think they're available to buy at the time this video is going to go up. They're going to be live mid-September, I believe. And there's 10 colors. And I will have a review on these coming up on my YouTube channel. I did enjoy using them, but I did notice there were some frustrations where there's no brown or like Payne's gray or anything, and I had to mix a lot of gray. It was a little frustrating because there was a big shift between wet and dry, and it seemed like those mixed grays did not go very far. But anyway, I'll have a full review on that. It's actually very long. I was just editing it, and it's like an hour and a half long. It's crazy. But if you want some in-depth information about those paints, I will post that when the paints are coming out to market. But it's fun to be able to try stuff. I love the fact that companies do reach out and let me try their products before they're released, so I can do reviews, and it's fun to try them. They worked fine for this painting. I wouldn't necessarily say they're an advantage over anything else you already have, so I definitely would just use what you have for this. And yeah, I just kind of looked at my reference photo. I did use a straight edge in a few places. I probably should use a straight edge when I was sketching the jar and the pen a little bit more, but I kind of like the urban sketch style vibe I have on it because I'm not relying on a bunch of rulers or not. Now look at the table in that picture. Look how like there's the color, like the sky and lights are reflecting. You've got that blue reflected light in back. You've got the pink reflected light over to the right. I think that's really cool and really interesting. And I also like the light colors that I'm seeing through my sunglasses there that are on the table. And I love the little pops of color in the background from the foliage and the red umbrellas across the street there. And I love it that it's kind of blurry and out of focus. And that's what I'm trying to do here, wet into wet in the background. I kind of was having a little internal little regret when I was painting this background, because I'm like, oh, I don't know if I should have done that. It's just getting all muddy, and I don't know. I wasn't crazy about it when I was doing it, but at the end, I really did enjoy having that fuzzy background. I think it's because I am trying to do more urban sketching and kind of learning about architecture, or even not even so much architecture, just being able to capture those scenes. And it's slow going, it's, well, I don't say it's slow going. It's, I'm not getting the results that I want in my head on paper yet, I guess is the issue. There's a disconnect between what my mind's eye wants to put down on the paper and what I'm actually producing. But it's a journey, and I can't expect to paint as well as the urban sketchers that I enjoy watching on YouTube. That's just not realistic. I've just started doing some of this. I've been definitely more of a plein air painter, which is where you just go out and paint nature. And I definitely love to focus in on small things and still lives and just, smaller subjects. So painting a large subject like a city or something like that is going to be a lot more. It's going to be a lot more challenging because it's not going to be in my wheelhouse. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying trying something different, and I think as artists you can't get pigeonholed. People always say find your style, find your subject matter, stay there, find your niche. But I feel like that's a recipe for burnout. You have to experiment a bit. You have to make sure that you're always growing. If every painting you're doing is you're knocking it out of the park and it's perfect, then you're probably not challenging yourself. If you're not coming up, if you are not making messes and creating stinkers once in a while, then you're not growing. And you're probably going to be headed to a burnout, because if you're not learning and you're not getting better, even if your level that you're at right now is good, if you're not getting better, you're eventually going to be frustrated, and you're not going to be getting that sense of satisfaction when you create your artwork. So, and it just will become more like a job. It will become like you're going to work and you're doing your job. And I'm sure that's, the feeling that a lot of professional artists get, and professional illustrators. They're doing their job, they're putting in their time, and then they're going to go do something else. But I think as an artist, if you want to stay inspired and you want to stay sharp, you've got to be always pushing yourself, and you have to always be stretching those creative muscles and working on stuff that might flop. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, nobody has to see your flops. Just keep on trying, keep on challenging yourself. And some things you're going to like, and some things you're not going to like. And sometimes you'll be frustrated because the painting was frustrating and hard. Even though the outcome was good, you're going to hate it because it was so frustrating to paint. But then you'll come back and look at it in a year or so, and you'll be like, that wasn't so bad. I actually kind of like that. Watching this back, I was kind of like, oh, I probably should have left it at that first layer, because I liked that sheerness of it and seeing the table through. But for whatever reason, when I was painting it, I felt like I needed it to be thicker. I think probably what it was I was starting to see like a little backwash. And the thing I noticed with these paints, and I don't know why they're doing it, but I did notice proclivity for more blooming and more streaking with this paint. And I'm not exactly sure why, because the paint seemed very transparent. It didn't give me the telltale sign of a lot of fillers or anything, but it definitely was a little strange in that respect. It wanted to blossom and streak very easily. So just wanted to mention that, because you can't really tell much about a paint. You could tell a little bit about a paint by swatching it, but you can't really tell whether it's going to work well until you paint with it. And when you mix colors with it, and you see how do they mix? Are they streaky? Are they clean? How do they flow? And some qualities aren't good or bad. They're just the qualities that the paint has, and we all have our own preferences. But it was interesting. If you're interested in this, I would suggest you watch the full tutorial before buying, and then decide for yourself whether it's something that you will want. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of tutorials of this paint coming out in the next month, in the next couple of weeks, because a lot of people have been sent the paint to try, and yeah, definitely get some different opinions, and then you can decide whether it's for you or not. I went back in and redefined my lines here, the little spaces in the tables, and I like that. I feel like it gave the still life a little bit of drama, a little bit of dynamics, like having those strong lines there. So you really want to commit to those lines when if you're going to do a line like that. You want to make sure that you've got it pretty accurate and you're like, okay, I'm doing it. Because if those lines are off, then it's going to look really wonky and really weird, and it'll be frustrating. My glass, I think, is a little asymmetrical, and I should have flipped my sketchbook upside down to double check before I started painting, but I didn't. And usually I can catch if something is crooked if I flip my picture upside down. But anyway, so it's leaning a little bit. But as I'm looking at oddly enough, as I'm looking at my reference photo, it does look like it's a little asymmetrical, but in the opposite direction. So I have no idea what's going on there. Maybe I tried to overcorrect. I have no idea. And here I'm trying to straighten up the edge by putting my ruler up against it and just kind of painting along the edge. Now these, the collection of paints here, these are all open stock. You could just buy what you wanted. They don't come in a set. One of the colors that they've released is this neon yellow, and I thought that might be kind of interesting to get the glow on the drink, because the light is coming from behind. So I thought that would be an interesting way to capture that. I don't know. I mean, neons fade out, so this isn't a sketchbook. I'm not too worried about it, but if it was something I was going to hang up, I definitely would not use that color because it would fade out in a month, and then that would be a bummer to see, your picture would change. And I kind of, you'd have to account for that, and that's just too much mental math for me, I guess. I'm trying the titanium white that they released to see how opaque it is. It's actually quite opaque, and I thinned it down to do some reflections in the glasses, and I'm not sure if I like that or not. I did kind of regret it, and I haven't done it yet. You'll see that in just a minute, but yeah, I was just kind of playing with the titanium white. I also knew I needed a little bit more shadow underneath my objects. The grays that I mixed faded out so badly as they dried, which was kind of frustrating, but so I just put another layer in for the shadow so it made my table lighter overall than I would have liked it, but I didn't want to go in and paint it again. I didn't want it to get overworked and get mucky and streaky or anything, so I just kind of left it. It's fine. It probably should have been a little darker, but I did go ahead and turn my work so I could get this reflection in there fairly realistically, and it is going to dry a little bit more transparently, or at least I thought it would probably dry a little bit more transparently, because I did put quite a bit of water in that mix, and I didn't want to go back in and fuss with it, because fussing with something that's supposed to be smooth and reflective, fussing with glass objects generally does not help. So I went in with a white gel pen. I was still undecided on whether I wanted to do the studs around the sunglasses or not. I was kind of like, I didn't like the white highlights, and I thought maybe if I did the studs, it would detract from them. I originally wasn't going to, because I'm like, there's great chance that I'm going to mess that up and I can't undo it, because you've got such a sheer wash there. But I did end up putting them in. You'll see that in a bit. So here I'm just using the white gel pen to make some crisper edges. You could go in with a black fine liner too. I think that would look really nice if you wanted to. I didn't want to get too overworked, and also I didn't want to use too much additional stuff other than the white gel pen, just because I was doing this as the artwork to complete my review of these paints, see how they really worked. And I didn't want to rely too much on external stuff, but I figured since there is an opaque white paint in the line, it would be fair for me to use a gel pen, and it's just kind of a tiny percentage of the work. I'm using it to add some condensation onto the glass, which I think added a really nice texture, and it looks really good in person. I don't know how much you're going to see that on video. Probably if you have it full screen, you'll see it quite well. And just putting some little details like my Derwent line maker there. I just put made a very loose crack at the logo there, attempt at the logo, I should say. And I'm just highlighting the glasses, the edges especially, where I wanted it to be a little bit sharper. Because that's a great thing about a pen or a colored pencil, is you can sharpen stuff up and you can nudge tones around. I didn't want to use a colored pencil on this though, because that paper is quite rough, and the things that I'd be using the colored pencil on were smooth objects, and I know it would pick up the grain of the paper and not give me the effect that I wanted. So it's just something you want to keep in mind when you are thinking about doing mixed media in your art. So I did decide I was going to do little rhinestones. I think that was a pretty fun detail, and I just felt like it needed a little something extra. And I'm still kind of bothered by how bright those reflections are on the glasses, so I did end up going in with some of my color and just toning them down a bit. But I used a very light touch because I didn't want to upset the glass underneath. And then the little rope fence there, the little chain fence around the cafe, I want to just make that a little bit sharper because that's closer than all of the trees and the umbrellas and buildings in the background, so I thought that would just give it a little bit better presence. And I'm just adding a little bit of dark reflections into the rhinestones around the glasses. At this stage, I switched to a small brush. The reason I switched to a small brush at the end, well, there's two reasons. One, you're going to get some nice detail with a small brush, but also I wanted to not add too much paint at this stage of the game. I just want to do some little touch-ups and call it a day. So if you like this and would like to see it in real time, check out the Lesson in Critique Club over in my Teachable School. Thank you so much for watching today, and until next time, happy crafting. Bye!